Donnie and Dolly, the team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
All right, it is, what day is it? It's Monday. All of our guests today sponsored by Passant Motors. That includes Iain MacIntyre from Sportsnet, standing by. This spring, take a break from payments with a new-to-you vehicle. Learn more at basantmotors.com. Delaney's OK Tire and Langley inbox from Steve in South Burnaby. Donnie's They reminds me of how Russell Wilson talked before he was traded, talking in riddles without making a long-term commitment to Seattle.
Good point.
And I should point out that Steve is the only person in the entire inbox who is kind of backing me up.
One more. There was one more.
So was there one more? Okay.
There was one more.
That's 2001 to 2. All right, Iain MacIntyre joins us now from Sportsnet.ca. Canucks host Seattle on Tuesday. Iain, thanks for doing this, sir. How are you?
I'm doing very well. It's nice to be on with two of my favorite people in the business.
Oh!
You guys have actually been at it longer than me.
Oh, wow. That's saying something. And don't forget Ryan, too, Iain. Hey, Iain.
Of course.
We've been making, or at least I've been making a big deal about Bruce Boudreau's comment post-game on Saturday. He referred to his team, his players, as they. Am I making too much out of that?
Yes, I would say so, because he has said that before.
Okay.
If you go back, there have been other quotes. It's just like personal habit of some guys, and coaches talk about we, and then they segue to they, and then they're back to we, and I think he just meant the players. So, but if your point is that he could leave, that's a good one.
There you go.
He may still leave, but I don't read anything into him saying they.
I realize they've lost 3 straight, but what have the Canucks shown you, especially lately during this improbable push to the playoffs, as unsuccessful as it may be?
Oh, man, a ton of heart. I thought they were done towards the end of March because they were scuffling a little, and they just, in some of those losses, they just looked exhausted. You know, they looked mentally spent as well as physically tired. And, you know, to my surprise, they then go 6-0-2 at the start of April to stay in it. So just, you know, a tremendous amount of heart and professionalism and commitment to keep pushing. But it was just, you know, in the end, it was just too long a sprint. You know, you can't go 4.5 months and play them with the intensity of 2 months of playoffs. And I realize postseason's another level of intensity, but several of the players, the veteran players like Luke Shen had said, you know, trying to catch up, the team had to approach all those games like they were playoff games. And, you know, it's hard to do, really hard to do 2 months. That's why the Stanley Cup is such a special trophy. They were trying to do 4.5 months just to have a chance to play for the Stanley Cup. And it was just too exhausting. You know, they ran as long and as hard as they could, but they've just kind of expired, you know, and it's been amazing to see, because I didn't think they were going to get anywhere close to where they got. And yet they made it into the final week of the regular season with a chance to make it. So a lot of heart, a lot of things to feel good about, but at the end, it's still going to be, you know, a disappointment that it's another spring without playoff hockey for the Vancouver Canucks.
Iain, Demko looks a little bit off in the past 3 games. Is that tired? Are they going to have to get more out of their backup next year, Iain?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. This is not a recipe for success anymore in the NHL, playing your starting goalie 65 games. And, you know, it used to be quite common. Luongo, I think, played 70 one year for Vancouver. But not anymore. You know, you just need to spread the workload. You know, that said, I understand why Boudreau played the heck out of Demko, because of what we were just talking about. For, you know, 4.5 months, it was like they had to win every game. So, of course, he's going to go with the guy who has been who has been their MVP. And then it didn't help that Halak had, his bad month where, he didn't get to play much, but when he did, he was awful. So he didn't feel like a viable alternative when you're trying to win. But I think the biggest thing for Thatcher is we forget, because he has become so good so fast as Jacob Markstrom's replacement, we forget how young he is in hockey terms. That last season was his first year as a starter, and it was in a pandemic schedule where he played 35 games. So now he's trying to go from 35 games to, I think, that was his 64th game he had played Saturday in Calgary. Only 2 goalies in the league had played more. They're expecting a lot, obviously, from Spencer Martin, having signed him essentially to be their backup. It's his job to lose. But whoever the backup is, the Canucks next year need to get, 20 games minimum, but ideally 25 to 28 games, so that Demko has a chance to be fresher and at his best all the time.
Yep. What are you going to be looking for, Ian, in the Canucks' final 3 games?
Well, I'm going to be looking at Quinn Hughes tonight because for those of us who can remember the 80s and Doug Lidster's 63-point season, and I don't really remember Dennis Kern's 55-assist season in the 1970s. I was too young, but this is a significant achievement. For 52 years that Quinn Hughes, and we already know he's the best defenseman they've ever had, but to go into the record books at age 22 in just his 3rd season, to beat a record for a franchise that's been in existence for 52 years is pretty impressive. I am curious about what's going to happen in goal and whether Demko is able to have at least one more really good game, or whether we're going to see Spencer Martin. And beyond that, you want to see them push to the end. They've done such a tremendous job finding a way to get themselves back in the race, which I didn't think was possible. But then to hang in the race where it looked like maybe they were done before these last 3 games, they've done so well to kind of build this culture where they're pushing every game and they're never an easy out. And you'd like to just see that continue to the end of the year. You don't want to. I think you don't want to see them. Even though there's going to be a ton of disappointment with the realization that they're not going to be going to the playoffs, you don't want to see them, finish meekly. You want to see them finish strong and continue what they started.
NHL has changed for the better this season, and maybe it goes back a few seasons, Ian, but more offense, more goals. Can you see Quinn Hughes venturing into Roman Josi territory one day? Roman Josi, 90 points with Nashville.
Yeah, and over 20 goals. And I think that's what separates right now Makar and Josi from a lot of players, is their ability to score. And Quinn, he's worked on his shot. His shot is better now than it was 3 years ago. I'm not sure that he's ever going to be, a 20-goal guy, which you probably need if you're going to get like beyond 80 points and into 90 points or close to 100. I think you need to score more. But certainly in terms of his ability to create offense and pass Boudreau has said he's the best passer that he's ever coached. And you see that, in fact, I enjoyed being in Calgary. We haven't done a lot of the road games in this yet another COVID season, but I enjoyed being in Calgary because when you see the game in person, and especially when you sit up high like we do and you can see all the ice, you just notice, 12 times a game, Quinn Hughes makes a play that very few players can make, but it gets no attention. Because it's just like a little play under pressure in his own zone, or to move the puck to a teammate, or to handle a bad pass that he's been given, a bouncing puck or something. And he's just so skilled. And the fact that he also has this incredible drive, he wants to be the best. I asked him earlier this season, about who he watches, and he talked about McCarr and Fox and others. He really measures himself against the very best in the game and wants to be at that same level. He's very close to it now. He's going to continue to get better. I don't, my feeling is he's probably not going to get into Roman Josi territory for points, but he's proven a lot of people wrong by age 22 about what he was going to do in this game.
Yeah, I was wrong there. Josi with 91 points.
91.
McCarr with 27 goals. Iain, thanks so much for this.
Nice being on with you guys. Have a good week.